Hi students, and welcome to week 2 in online general psychology. I hope that last week was a great week for you. I certainly enjoyed getting to know more about you through your student questionnaire as well as through the discussion question that you posted. So seems like we're kind of getting things going here. I know it's always challenging to figure out the structure of a new online course. But I hope that you've gotten all the kinks worked out and you're ready for week 2. So this week we are covering chapter 2, which is the scientific method. So in this chapter, you will learn about why psychology uses the scientific method, how important it is for research in psychology to be both valid and reliable and trustworthy. And so that scientific method and that emphasis on science keeps psychology research and what you see published in peer-reviewed journal articles as the best information that is available. And so this chapter starts off with making a case for psychology being a science. It then transitions into teaching you about the different research methods. So of course you have, experiments and surveys and case studies and correlational studies and naturalistic observation. And so those different types of research methods are how we collect the data in psychology. And sometimes it's a combination and sometimes a particular type of research method makes the most sense. This chapter then takes you into elements of research, considering your sample size, any type of variables that might be important to your research, comparison of, are you comparing genders or socioeconomic status, etc. And then the chapter moves on into this idea of ethics and how important it is that when we do research that we are doing it with ethics at the forefront, that nothing is doing that is harmful to anyone. And you'll learn about in this chapter Milgram's classic study done. It was actually on conformity, but really what we learned the most from Milgram's study was on the idea of ethics. So not to spoil it for you, but Milgram's study was where his participants believed they were doing a memory study, and when their partner got the question wrong, they had to administer a certain level of shock to them. Well, it was labeled in voltage with the top one being lethal. And so there was never any shock administered, but the person believed that they were shocking the other person to death in some cases. And they were actors that were getting quote unquote shocked. And so they were screaming and yelling and begging for their lives. And that left many of Milgram's participants with, anxiety and stress. One had a heart attack or reportedly had a heart attack after the study. And so as we look at that, we realize studies can't be done that are harmful to people, whether it's psychological or physical harm. And so you'll learn all about ethics in this chapter as well. So I hope you enjoy thinking about psychology as a science, appreciating the different types of research methods, and of course the ethical parts of this chapter. And then, really, I'm going to build on this all semester for you guys. So, as I teach you about classic psychological studies, you'll understand the elements of that study because you are familiar with how psychology is studied as a science, the scientific method. So I really hope this is a great chapter for you to start your journey of learning about psychology. So this week you have several Connect assignments. So you'll do one on independent and dependent variables. This comes from experiment research method. You'll have one over scientific method overall. On correlation, which is another type of research method, and you really want to make sure that as you look at this, that you understand that correlation is not cause and effect. So a little hint there. Correlation just means two things are happening together, but one doesn't necessarily cause the other one. With experiments, when in his experiments, you're going to have the independent and dependent variables. It is a cause and effect. That's what you're trying to prove. So a difference there. These two are different assignments. This is a concept club on independent and dependent variables, and this is designing an experiment on dependent and independent variables. So it might look like the same, but they're different there. And then an interactivity on research ethics. And then, of course, your Chapter 2 post-test. So again, remember, I know it looks like a lot, but remember most of these are just, 4 or 5 questions. So work your way through them. I want to remind you that when you are in, let's click on the first item here in the module, that you'll read there and then go down and click the next button. And it will take you, if you get something like this, like the narrated PowerPoint, it's a video, so you click on it and it should open up for you when you're done watching that. Oops, you know how YouTube is, it never wants to shut down. You go back to the module and then click next. So clicking next is what's going to allow you to get to the next item for it to open up. When it's a Connect assignment, you should by now have your Connect account all set up. You'll click launch and it will take you into that assignment. It won't look like that for you. It'll look like this for you. The actual questions will come up here on the preview, and you can see here it's 5 questions. So, you'll watch the short video, it's a minute long, and then answer, the question. So let me go back to our class here. I hope that you are enjoying what you're learning so far in psychology. And again, we're staying here in Chapter 2. For week 2, all of these assignments are due by Sunday night, but you can work on them at your pace throughout the week. Have a great week, everyone. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me.